45 years, zero name changes, new offices, more staff, improved technology to better serve you. Education, services, investments. Think real estate, think Marshall Reddick. Brokerage, property management, private lending, creating financial independence through real estate since 1979.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Cameron Carlson, and I'll be presenting alongside Rachel Page. We're very excited to present a kind of a little bit of a hot topic, the Woodlands Metro, and just what is the Woodlands, and diving into that. Rachel, how do they say what's up in the Woodlands?
Well, you know, the locals would say, howdy, y'all, or just like, what's up, y'all? Like, there's all the y'alls out here. That's very much a thing.
I love it. Man, it's a super cool place. A little about me. I'm a licensed realtor in Orange County here. I got my bachelor's of business admin from Vanguard. I think Rachel's also an alumni of Vanguard. My primary here, I'm happily married. I've got a baby on the way. We're due in January, so we're right around the corner. I'm super excited about that. I've done real estate transactions in 7 different states. I invest in the Marshall Reddick Mortgage Fund. Really, that just attests to, and you'll hear Rachel Page say this too, a lot of us here at Marshall Reddick, we practice what we preach in a sense. So we don't just talk about investing, we believe in the investments, and we ourselves invest in Marshall Reddick. I helped 120 owners last year find management, find Marshall Reddick as their home for management, and I've done about 29 sales in the past 12 months. And so for some of you, this you may be very familiar with Marshall Reddick, and for others of you, maybe it's your first time hearing about us. Essentially, we have 4 services, and we are a full-service real estate firm. The first division of our company is a real estate brokerage. So we help people buy and sell their primary residence, as well as buy and sell investment property. I would say nationwide, last year we did around 600 transactions. And about 90% of the investment transactions that we did, we also manage. And that brings us to the second division, which is property management. We take care of literally everything for the landlord, from leasing, maintenance, renovations, rent collections, and so much more. And Rachel Page is a landlord with us too, so I'm sure she can attest to that. Really, the goal is that you as landlord, all you need to do is collect a rent check. The third division of our company is private lending. Sometimes when you can't qualify for a conventional loan, conventional financing, you might need to go the private financing route. And so Marshall Reddick actually provides non-owner occupied real estate loans to borrowers that maybe are doing fix and flips, new construction from the ground up, or just purchasing investment property and they want to go private. The fourth division is the Marshall Reddick Mortgage Fund. I know you heard me briefly mention that I'm an investor there, but the same way you can own real estate and collect rent checks, our investors own mortgages and collect mortgage payments. So I know I invest in the fund where I don't really need to think about the investment too much. I just get a quarterly distribution. Within all of this, I am a real estate advisor here. Similar to Rachel, only I'm in Orange County and Rachel is in Houston. And Marshall Reddick is located in basically 7 metropolitans across the United States. And you can see here on the map, we've got Bay Area, Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside, those are all California. In Texas, we've got Austin, New Braunfels, San Antonio, Houston, and obviously we're diving into a part of Houston called the Woodlands. And then in Tennessee, we've got Nashville, Clarksville, and a little bit in Kentucky there. And then we are in Cape Coral, Florida. And so you may wonder, well, why are you guys in these states? Why did you choose these markets within the states? And as an investor, it's extremely important which market you choose. And there's several reasons why Marshall Reddick selected these specific markets. We want to look for markets with really good economic growth, low unemployment rate, a stable jobs market. We also want a market where there is a high rental demand. So a lot of tenants versus, a lot of homeowners, maybe that's pretty 50-50, versus we don't want to be in a market where there's no rental demand. Everybody owns their home. It makes it harder for rents. A lot of these markets are landlord friendly, aside from California, we can kind of eliminate that. And they have a good ratio of renters and homeowners, as I mentioned. So the markets are diverse. We want not just like one main industry. We want to see a variety of essential industries like military, medical, insurance, communication, IT. So when one of these industries goes down, the market's still going to survive because you have such a variety of other industries there. It's also important that the market has a lower barrier of entry. Are the houses affordable for investors? Maybe the suburbs have more affordable, family-friendly neighborhoods. We also want a good education system. This leads to well-educated tenants and more desirable school districts. Maybe there's a university within the market. Those are all important factors to think about. And then one of the most important criteria is property management. There should be a good selection of property management companies that are competitive with one another. That way they produce good services, good pricing. You don't want to be stuck in a market where you've got a bad property manager and maybe there's only one or two other companies nearby and they don't provide much better service. So it's important to even just look into, hey, is there a good selection of property managers? That's another reason why Marshall Reddick, we actually do property management. We want to make the purchase and transition into management extremely smooth, extremely easy. Most of our staff here too on the management either own real estate or aspire to own investment real estates. So it's cool because we see it from the landlord's perspective. And our motto is, we believe we should only profit when you as the owner profits. And what I mean by that is we charge a percentage of the rent collected and we don't profit on maintenance. I'm more than happy to kind of dive in further, and so is Rachel, to explain how property management works on a follow-up call. Feel free to just let us know, and we're happy to kind of dive in there. So skip one. So this here is a picture of all of our teams, and I'll kind of start top left. That's our New Braunfels office. You got another one of our Texas offices on the top right. We've got our Tennessee team on the bottom right, Newport in the middle, and then Florida on the bottom left. And then a little bit about tonight's presenters. My co-host, Rachel Page, who you'll meet here in a second, is probably one of the best Houston agents out there. Not only is she a phenomenal agent, she also owns property in Houston. I'll let her talk about that. But Rachel and her husband, Steve, they're actually family friends of ours. So you can see here, these photos were taken a couple weeks ago when the Pages were in town, and we went to Solani Steakhouse in Laguna Beach. For those of you local here, put in the chat, let us know if you've ever been to Solani. They are phenomenal. Highly recommend if you're in SoCal, go to Laguna Beach, join us there, and then you can see my little wifey there with her pregnant belly. So that's my wife, and that's a little bit about us. Without further ado, I want to pass it on over to Rachel Page.
Thank you, Cameron. What an awesome intro. That was a super fun night. Well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. If you see me looking back and forth, I'm sure you figured out I have two monitors and my deck's on my right. So I promise I'm not just looking sideways. So for those of you I haven't met, my name is Rachel. I am a member on our team here. I'm a realtor in both California and Texas, but I primarily practice in Texas. I also have my BA from Vanguard University, although I got mine a long time before Cameron did, not to date myself, but it was a while ago. I started as a client with my husband in 2012, so we've been clients for 12 years at this point. Just like Cameron, we've taken part in every facet of Marshall Reddick's business that he went over earlier. So we really do, believe in the services offered, just like Cameron. So I have bought and sold property in 5 of our markets over that period of time, and I really need to update this number. I've sold significantly over 150 properties over the duration of being part of the team the last 4 years. So it's definitely been a wonderful team and company, and something that I believe in, just as Cameron was saying him too. So without further ado, things we're going to cover this evening. So if you guys have been to any of my previous presentations for Houston, this is completely new material. I did pull like 2 of the slides from Houston just to condense an entire webinar into one, just so you can see that, but this is entirely new info. So we're focusing in on the Woodlands Metro, which is North Houston. This is definitely a very popular area with our investors. So we will get into all that. Everything we're focusing on tonight, with the exception of, I believe, one property, is all falling in Montgomery County. So we're going to do city tours, kind of like get on the property bus and go city by city. And I'm going to show you the most popular cities with our investors, as well as communities in each one of those. We'll cover 2 communities per city, and then also a property pick in each of those. If any of you have done a Marshall Reddick webinar in the past, our typical format will be to present 1 to 3 property picks at the very end. This is a very different approach. We're literally going to be reviewing properties city by city. So you can get a really good hands-on idea of how far your dollar goes in each of these cities and what those returns can look like. And then we'll do a little intro to our office on the waterway itself. Some of you have come out and visited us there. It's been a fun little place with a beautiful view. And then we'll close it out with some success stories of Cameron and my clients that have purchased. So before I dive in, this is one of the slides I have shown in the Houston presentation. Some of these photos are pretty dated, so I do need to refresh them, but this is my family. My youngest, John, is 5 now, and my oldest, George, is 7. So these are all photos of us since we've moved to Texas. And the bottom left one with the umbrella is actually at my favorite coffee shop, Blue Door, which is right in front of our Woodlands office, so right above the waterway. And the top one's at Rodeo or at Summit Surfside Beach, which is our favorite beach here. But the picture I always love to point out, well, that was my first crawfish boil, which is a big thing out here. And then the bottom center photo is a world famous pitmaster. Her name's Tootsie. There's a Netflix documentary on her on Chef's Table Barbecue series. If you're a meat eater, I could not recommend it more. But you have to get there at like 5 a.m. Hence why I look like I do in this photo. But it's worth the like 5-hour wait, and it's bucket list. The first people in line flew in from France the night before at midnight. So anyway, it's a little glimpse in our life in Texas. And this is rodeo specifically. So we have the largest rodeo in the world in Houston that goes on February and March. If you're thinking about coming out to check out the area, that's a really fun time to join. It's a nonprofit, so it's very affordable. You can see world famous artists, and it's just an incredible rodeo. Very, very fun. So that's pretty much all we're going to talk about with Houston tonight, other than I do have a couple little industries we'll cover in a sec. But this evening, like I said, we're focusing in on Montgomery County. So Houston is absolutely massive. There's many counties it encompasses. Montgomery County sits at the very top of all of Houston Metro. So the overwhelming majority of our portfolio sits within Montgomery County. The laws are much more landlord friendly. Texas is a very landlord friendly place, but Montgomery County specifically, very landlord friendly. And oftentimes the numbers work out better in this area because we're further from the Gulf. So we'll get into that in a moment as well.
Before you do, I'd love to just ask a quick question. I mean, maybe you're going to explain this already, but how does the how does the Houston's like a market, jobs market impact the Woodlands? How does it impact like the Woodlands, the tenant pool, things like that?
Great question. Well, I would always like to say the Woodlands functions independently from Houston because we have a lot of industry up here as well, but it's not that Houston doesn't impact us. They're, depending on where in the Woodlands you are, anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes down the road. So many people who choose to live in the Woodlands and want to be here for all the reasons we'll get into later, work in the city and commute. We have an excellent series of toll roads here, so you can get into the city pretty seamlessly depending on the village within the Woodlands you decide to live. And we have some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies, based right here in Houston as well. So I would say the thriving business economic environment in Houston absolutely does impact the Woodlands. People want a place where they're choosing to live maybe in a more suburban environment, but benefiting from everything that's based out of Houston. So, we're the largest city in Texas, and not just Texas, in all of the southern United States. So we, like Houston itself, we have over 2 million residents and it covers 640 square miles. It's absolutely huge. And there's a lot of Fortune 500 companies. Obviously, we're the energy capital of the world, and we have the largest med center in the world. So those are major employers for tenants of ours that, like many of our tenants work in the city, but don't want to necessarily live in the city. So does that answer your question? It helps kind of benefit without having to be. Okay.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there.
In the med center, I know I touched on that. We actually do have a lot of tenants that work at the med center. It is, like I said, it's the largest medical center in the world. It's comprised of 21 individual hospitals. So it's a huge campus of all of these hospitals, and a lot of them do collaborative research. We have the #1 cancer care hospital in the world. So there's people that literally move to the area for medical treatment. So anyway, so that's how Houston impacts the Woodlands. So as far as market performance, I always like to say, you know, Houston's a bit of a Clydesdale. They're like very predictable and strong, just continued, you know, very ongoing steady growth through the years, as you can see. And you can see this chart at the bottom on our website of any of the properties that it's linked to that specific market. I always like to point out on this slide with the market performance historically, take a look at 2008. Numbers don't lie. When the recession hit previously, that was a real estate, you know, driven recession in many ways. Much of the country had huge plummeting numbers that, you know, other markets experienced upwards of 50% correction. We didn't even dip 1%. Houston had the lowest. And when I say Houston, that encompasses all of the Woodlands metro, basically the entire metro for this area. Didn't even dip 1%. And in 2009, we had a growth year. Like, that was unheard of for that. So, you know, you can see we had 15 years in a row of steady growth and continued growth. 2023 was, I would say, a stabilizing year. It didn't even dip 2%, a little over 1%. But, you know, we literally had 15 years of continuous growth. And what I love about where we find ourselves here in 2024 with our investors is that we're able to win them awesome properties, usually within writing 2 offers on average, I would say. You know, if we're talking a couple of years ago, I would tell my clients, be prepared to write 5 to 7 offers, and the terms will not be super favorable to you as a buyer, quite frankly. You know, now I think it's in a wonderful position where you're able to enter an A-class, strong performing market, but really have a more competitive offer structure. So again, like I was saying, we're going to focus on Montgomery County tonight. The county line you can see here, the highway below that's the 99 toll road. So that's one of our most popular tollways. We have a lot of investors who own property along the 99, and they use that to get into their respective jobs within the city. That's a very popular location for people who do work within Houston. So Montgomery County is our focus tonight. The Woodlands is kind of the star child of Montgomery County. So that's all considered like the Woodlands metro.
And what have been, I guess, some of the most popular pockets there that you've seen amongst investors that you've worked with?
You guys are asking good questions tonight. Great question. So this cheat sheet on this slide kind of gets into a lot of our kind of preferred pockets. I would say in the last year, some of our most popular neighborhoods we're going to be diving into tonight, but like I was saying, off the 99, just because we were just talking about that Porter New Caney area, Maple Heights, there's a new build community out there that makes really quality products for very low price points, and it's very close to easy access to the toll road. So there's a lot of our tenants there that work in the city but don't want to rent an apartment or don't want to live in the city, so they're able to rent these beautiful homes with a convenient location. Lexington Heights is another community, and I'll get into that tonight. Specifically, it lands in Willis, but there's some low property tax pockets within that area that have made it very popular. I would say most of my recent buyers have wanted to, and just like, you know, your clients as well, have chosen that as one of the most popular neighborhoods. And then for pre-owned, I would say there's some really good pockets in Spring as well. So we can dive into all that. This is kind of like a cheat sheet. I will say anything south of the 99 would be more like Houston Metro. Anything north of the 99 would be like the Woodlands Metro. So you know, the Woodlands itself was sort of the original master plan community out here. Magnolia, northwest of that, it's expansive, and that can mean a lot of different things. There's massive acreage estates, there's new builds of all different price points. Wood Forest is, I would say, is my most popular community for primary relocating people. I've helped quite a few people relocate to Wood Forest, and we'll get into Wood Forest later on as well. And then the lake communities, and then Highway 242. That's there are a lot of master plan communities in that area. You have Harper's Reserve, Rivera, Artavia, Evergreen, and Granger Pines. They're all lining, I don't know if my mouse will show if I wiggle it, but that Highway 242 across the top. And if you go to where Highway 242 meets Interstate 45, that's where all of the Woodlands hospitals are. So there's a lot of people that rent those properties that work at those hospitals. So you have doctors, nurses, just staffing within the hospitals, and those are it's a very convenient access to that. So some of those are more popular areas. I would say, unless you're buying a primary residence or a vacation home, most people are not choosing to go the route of any of the coastal cities, because insurance is incredibly expensive as you get down toward areas that would be impacted by the hurricanes. So we're very far away from the coast. We're a solid 90-minute drive. So the closer you get to the water, it can be more costly. So without any further delay, we can dive into the specific city. So I mentioned Willis. That's one of our featured cities, one of our most popular locations. Willis is located on Lake Conroe, Lake Conroe is huge. We'll get into that in a little bit, but Willis has a really wide variety of properties available depending on where in the city you are. I would say it's either suburban or suburban adjacent. There are some more rural areas, but none of those will be featured tonight. So everything we're looking at tonight is within a pretty close drive to the 45, so convenient access. So in Willis, like I said, it's Lake Conroe. I believe it's the largest lake in Texas. It's 22,000 acre lake. We have 157 miles of shoreline with that lake, and you can do all sorts of sports on it. This is one of the lakes that does allow watercraft. So you can do inner tubing, water skiing, you know, all of those things. Some lakes restrict engines, but not Lake Conroe. And then there's the National Forest up there. We have a huge national forest. And you can get in for free, which is great. Lots of like hiking trails and nature, lots of good golf courses you can drive through. There's a really beautiful estates community there called Grand Republic Ranch, which I honestly just like to go up and get a coffee and drive through it. They're so beautiful. It's really pretty. And there's rolling hills up there, which is not super common for Houston Metro. So. And there's a lot of different restaurants, breweries, and just fun little places to eat out in Willis. So our first featured neighborhood of the night is the Woodlands Hills. So this is one of the most popular master plan communities in the Woodlands Metro. It's absolutely beautiful. They have an awesome lazy river. These photos don't even do it justice either. It is absolutely stunning, and it's so fun if you have a family, like to be able to. We went to a little birthday party there last summer for one of my son's friends, and we're floating the lazy river. They have a rock wall, a really awesome gym. And one of the things I love about this community, if you were to invest in an entry-level price point for the neighborhood, you have much higher cost properties for people that have these more, you know, palatial, huge houses. So you can get a more attainable price point home in a neighborhood that has significantly more expensive properties, which I love. There are a few neighborhoods like that. This is one of them. So it's a great place to be. So this is our first property pick of the night. This property is built by Century Communities, and you know, for all these properties, they should all start at least with positive monthly cash flow. And then you got to keep in mind too, you're able to depreciate all these properties for tax sheltering each year. So this is a price point of $334, $335, give or take. In this neighborhood is very competitive. So one thing about this community, the tax rates are a little bit higher than the next one I'm going to show you. And then it's in, I believe, the higher twos, 2.8, something like that. And then they do have HOAs to cover all those amazing amenities. So those things can have a factor in your cash flow, but they also attract tenants. People love to be in these really amazing communities. So
Yeah, and real quick before we go to the next slide, because I know we're going to see a lot of pro formas tonight, can you kind of just talk us through what we're looking at here so we can kind of use the same lens on the rest of them?
absolutely, great question. So for any of our properties, if you pulled them up on our website, you would see these breakdowns. And if I had to get them to fit on the screen, I couldn't import the interactive link to the properties, but if you are on a website, you can play around with the numbers. So right now, everything you see is what's the list price. I might be able to get you the property at a better price than the builder potentially. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Builders literally change their pricing week over week depending on what they sold the week prior. So sometimes we're able to get you a little more favorable number. A lot of these are placeholder figures, like say, for example, the insurance. Maybe you find a more competitive insurance rate. So you see the list price, your down payment, whatever percentage you want to do down, your initial repair costs. That's a very conservative figure. I'm sorry, that's a very aggressive figure for that. Usually with a new build, you're just having to do the rekey, the initial rekey, which usually runs about $500. I really do my due diligence to make sure the new builds are in perfect condition when you close. I take that blue tape very seriously for my clients. So you can see the estimated rent, and then you see your fixed expenses listed, and then just for like a save for a rainy day, we list out your variable expenses. Obviously, we are not charging you those numbers. These are just for you to earmark and have them set aside for at some point when maintenance comes in. So you can see your estimated fixed expenses with new builds, and these are also very, like I said, very conservative figures. Usually with new builds, your figures you're looking at are closer to 3 to 4%. We put 8% in our calculator to be conservative. So we much prefer to under promise and over deliver. So does that answer their question?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys do have questions as we go along, feel free to just put them in the chat. If they're like pertaining to what we're looking at too, we can kind of just like talk through them, or if not, we'll probably get to it at the very end of the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so Lexington Heights is the next, and I'm looking at the time, I need to be cognizant. Sorry, I guess we have a lot of neighborhoods to get through. So Lexington Heights, this is, I would say, the probably most popular investor neighborhood lately. It's a 5-minute drive from the front of Lexington Heights to the front of the Woodlands Hills, but the price points are very different. So the developer for Lexington Heights paid the tax to cover, basically covered the cost to run all the utilities to the community instead of passing that on to the builder. So your property tax is extremely low in this community. It's only 1.57, which is, oh, I'm sorry, it's 162. I misrecall. So price points are really good, very close to the Woodlands Hills, 162. That is staggering. It's literally more than 1% less than the Woodlands Hills, which again, it's a 5-minute drive. There's a lot of different builders and price points. There's 2 builders that have been our most popular in there that are more on the entry-level price points. But again, then you're buying the worst house in the best neighborhood. They're still amazing homes. It's a great neighborhood, but you're able to get a fully turnkey product that has costlier properties surrounding it. So slated to come, and then in the coming years, it's going to be a gated community, which will lower your insurance costs as well. And then they'll have a community park and pool that they will be putting in as well. So this is a property that's available right now. This is, again, you can see the numbers are definitely impacted positively when you're paying a lot less with property tax. And they do have an HOA, but it is an amenity, I'm sorry, an aesthetic driven HOA, not an amenity driven HOA, which is excellent. It keeps your curb appeal up without the price tag that comes with that. So this builder is First America Homes. They make a really nice product, and this is one of their properties that is available now. So you can see for less than $290, you can get a Beautiful 4-bed, 2.5-bath house. And these properties have been leasing really quickly. You know, Cameron sold quite a few properties in this neighborhood recently, and they've been leasing within, one of them leased in a week, which is for fall months, like very excellent. So it's a desirable area. It's about a 7-minute drive to Highway 45. So very convenient access if you need to commute north or south. So great option. So moving on to Montgomery. So that is the birth of the Texas flag. These are all photos of Montgomery, depending on where you're going, very different feel. Wood Forest is very, very manicured and new and fresh. They have Old Town Montgomery, there's acreage properties, lakefront properties, all sorts of different things. And again, there's obviously many more developments than what I'm presenting tonight, but for the interest of time, I just handpicked the top 2. So things to do in Montgomery, we have a really cute farm here, P6, where they have, you know, holiday things you can do, like hay rides or go see Santa, things like that. There's a beautiful acreage winery up in Montgomery called Bernhardt. You can go, they do live music on Sunday nights. You can go to shows there. It's very fun. They bring in food trucks. We love to go. You can go to Old Town Montgomery, historic Montgomery. It's absolutely gorgeous. And Walden is a really cute lakefront community. We have some investors that have purchased up there as well. Very pretty, and there can be some great price points in there as well. Wood Forest, which is actually where, again, that's where I've helped most people relocate that have purchased primary residences. I've even have a client who, I'll get into him at the end, but he actually purchased an investment property in spring and came out to visit it twice and fell so in love with the area. He ended up buying a primary residence in Wood Forest and packed up his bags in Venice Beach and moved out here. So it's a very beautiful area. And then Margaritaville is very nearby as well. So it's a fun place to be. So Wood Forest, again, this is it's a gorgeous neighborhood. You would be adding another 40-minute drive to the beach, and we try to go once a week. So if it wasn't for that, I would probably choose to live in Wood Forest. It's just stunning. It's in the best possible position right now. They're literally selling probably their last 10 new builds. So they've been building for 12 years now. They're calling it their grand finale. They're wrapping up development here. So you're coming into a very manicured, very nice community with awesome amenities, but some of those property tax, bills have been like paid down. Like the tax rates have dropped a little bit since the bonds have been paid down. That's the word I was looking for. So you're in a beautiful community with really good amenities, and you're not going to be dealing with construction dust anymore. So that's something that is a big plus. Wood Forest is absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, that's Wood Forest. And this property I actually toured clients at last week. It's amazing. And I know that the owners have already moved. I believe they moved out of state. So I know for a fact they're very motivated. These numbers are, and I do think I always try to be conservative with my figures. I think that you could probably rent this house for even more than that. This is an awesome option. Full brick, and you have a 5-bed, 3-bath. So this is an excellent option, a good example of a property and what that can get you in Wood Forest. And right down the road, really, like if you go, it's about probably a 6-minute drive away from Wood Forest toward Highway 105. Then you have this little community, Chapel Run. Chapel Run's a great investment neighborhood. It's definitely another amenity-driven HOA, very low HOAs, but it doesn't, I mean, you basically get a playground and landscaping. It's a nice community with sidewalks and stuff, but you're not having to worry about paying for pool maintenance, lazy river maintenance, or a gym, things like that. So this is another community a lot of our investors like. It's very pretty, it's quiet, and it's pretty close to Highway 105. So for people that are commuting up in that direction, it's convenient. This would be like a much more affordable Wood Forest adjacent community. So here's a property in that community that you can see. They're just a little more entry-level price points available for this. So like this property is listed at $233. So you can get a new build, in the low 200s. So it's still definitely a community that is a great option if you're a little more price sensitive with that. Okay. Do we have any questions that came in? I know I'm just rambling as we go.
We do have one. I don't know if we want to wait till the end for questions, just for time's sake. But I guess real quick on this one, they said, hey, like I'm an investor. I've been out previously to Wood Forest, and it seemed a little remote. I don't know. Maybe you can elaborate on or help answer what that question
Absolutely.
is.
So that's an astute observation. Yes, Wood Forest, I would say, is almost like a self-contained little bubble. They are a little bit out of the way. I wouldn't say they're remote per se. They have their own village downtown. So when you pull into the community, they have a couple of gas stations, they have Wood Forest Bank, they have a golf club, multiple restaurants, boutiques, a salon, a cigar bar. So as far as like your daily needs, they have this grocerant. It's like a hybrid grocery store restaurant, very cute. But if you want to be going to Target or any of the fast food chains that you want to look at, or a larger grocery store like an H-E-B or Kroger, it's about a 10-minute drive to downtown Magnolia. So yes, everything you need. Like if you forgot ketchup for dinner, you could run to Harvest, but you don't want to be doing your entire grocery shopping there. That would be a little cost prohibitive. So it's about, you're looking at about 10 minutes to get to the city as far as Magnolia.
Got it.
Hopefully that helps. Speaking of Magnolia.
Did you want me to keep
what?
asking questions, or you want to just take them at the end? Either one's okay.
Either way, it's fine. Jump in if there's anything that comes
Will do.
up. So yes, Magnolia is at the base of the hill from Wood Forest. There's a lot of different things to do there. This is like this Deacon Baldy's photo. It just does not do it credit. I was trying to find a photo. It's an open air food truck, permanent food truck restaurant, and they have a bunch of beers on tap too. That place is crawling year round. It's very fun. They have live music, cornhole, things like it's a really cool place. There's breweries. If anyone doesn't know what Buc-ee's is, I was like, what is the rage about this? People go nuts. It's like a gas station convenience store, for lack of a better word, but they literally even sell like brisket in there. It's like, it has a cult following. Like a lot of kids here choose to go to Buc-ee's on their birthdays. It's very funny. They sell all the things, have merch. You'll have to check it out when you come visit. And then we have Renaissance Festival there as well. So Audubon, this is a gorgeous neighborhood, master plan community. It's about, I would say, 10 minutes west of Wood Forest. If you came down the hill from Wood Forest and went, the Audubon, I believe they're in phase 3, and they have, I believe, 10 slated construction phases. So it's not a new master plan community by any means, but it's newer. There's still quite a few years of development left to come. Last year, they opened their pool and amenity center. So this is definitely a great option as well. And another one of those master plan communities where you have a huge variety of price points as well. Like one of my clients I was talking to today bought a $2 million acreage property in there, or very large frontage, but you can literally buy properties in the $300,000 range for a starting price point there. So it's a great place. They just also opened a brand new elementary school within the community. So people love that. They can literally drop their kids off on the way to work. So this is another excellent example. This price point is so good for this community. So under 270, when, like I said, there's literally homes well over $1 million in this community as well. So that's the kind of strategy you want to deploy, buying, like, again, the worst house in the best neighborhood. These are great homes, but the most affordable entry level price point for these, and they are going to have forced appreciation with these, bigger, more expensive properties that they're next to. So this is another great option. And pivoting a little bit, there's a neighborhood that's pretty close to the Woodlands. It's probably a 6-minute drive from the Woodlands, just west. In that development is called Enclave at Dobbin. Now, this community is unique in that it has a lot of mixed types of properties. So there are apartments nearby. There's a lot of single family homes, and they also have pockets of duplexes too. So actually, we've had a lot of the resale duplexes when they hit the market. They don't happen very often, but there is one right now, and it is priced extremely well, very competitive. It's a newer property, and that's actually my pick for this community. I'll show you in a sec. So the reason I like when you have duplexes that are surrounded by single family homes, it's the products that are pulling these up. So, you know, it's just more of a mixed neighborhood, and they also have the woods around the edge or acreage communities. So really nice. Like you can see, that's like a mansion ranch house right there. So it's a wonderful community. So this property, I mean, the numbers look very, 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 very good on it for a new build. So essentially, you're just getting the new builds in this community are retailing for $510, and the builder is securing, like, he'll secure his rents by giving away a month free upfront and placing the tenant, but he passes that expense along to buyers. So what I love is when I can find one of these pre-owned properties, because they're a great product, but you can take advantage of usually a more favorable price point. So this one is listed at under $490, and one half is tenant occupied through next July, over $1,800. So there's some really excellent option. If anyone's looking at multifamily, this is a fantastic option to consider. So it's kind of nice coming in when you have half of the property released.
Yeah.
So New Caney is another community that, you know, we were kind of talking about the proximity to Highway 99. This is a very popular area as well. So some of these communities I put together, so Porter and New Caney are next to each other. Valley Ranch Town Center, it's a big mall there. We have the Wilderness Park, a Highlands Golf Club, a racetrack, and then another brewery. Texans like their beer. And I'm going to try to not be too long-winded. I want to be mindful of our time tonight. So Highlands, very popular community. It's right off the 99, absolutely gorgeous. You can see it, very grand entrance. And again, the photos don't really do it justice when you're driving the highway. It's just a really beautiful community, very manicured, lots and lots of outdoor activities. This developer really focused on, you know, the trails, the golf courses, very outdoor living focused community. So lots of different price points in here as well. So the property I selected, again, the very, very favorable price point for the community. This community actually has pretty high rents, but given the cost of the taxes being a newer community, this is the only property I believe tonight that has a bit of a negative monthly income. Now, when you factor in your depreciation, you're comfortably positive for the year, very much so. But when you're just looking at the numbers month over month, if you wanted to deploy a heavier down payment, this is a great option as well. So, beautiful community. Now, if you want a more economic version of the next exit down the highway, then Maple Heights is phenomenal. We manage a lot of property in this neighborhood. So right off the 99, again, I know one of our tenants is a nurse and porter in that community, but other than that, I believe that all of our tenants work in Houston. So again, people are seeking out communities with easy access to the toll roads. So really, really favorable price points. The products are very well built. Every single client of ours that has bought in this community has conducted a third-party inspection, and they come back squeaky clean. This builder is wonderful, and they really deliver a turnkey product. The only thing you have to do is rekey. They include the washer, dryer, blinds, sprinkler system, garage door opener. It's truly delivered to you turnkey. And this community is unique in that the whole community is built by Century. So there's going to be 1,000 homes. They're somewhere around 300 now, so they'll be developing for a while. But at this point, they have all the amenities built out. So you're coming in at a good time. So check out this price point, guys. $219. I mean, it's under $220,000 for a new construction home. It is a fantastic option. There's a reason these are so popular with investors. You'd be hard pressed to find an older, pre-owned home in much of the country for that price point, let alone a new build. So this is a fantastic option, very much rent ready, and these things do move very quickly. I've leased them year round and they move fast. So, and again, a well-made product. So a great option that we can dive into further if you have more questions. Okay, so Conroe, Shenandoah. This is kind of closer to the heart of the Woodlands. Shenandoah is like very much just north of like the Panther Creek area. So, and Conroe is above there. My in-laws have one of their investment properties there as well. So we have an awesome state forest. There's a big monument, Lake Conroe. There's blueberry farms here. You can go rent a basket and then pick blueberries for the day. It's pretty fun. And then another brewery. Like I said, Texans love their brewery. So this neighborhood is in basically the heart of the Woodlands. It's right off the 45. What you are showing you Highway 242 that intersects with the 45. It's called Central. These very much remind me of the, Southern California, the row home kind of look. And they're 4-bed, 4-bath. These properties are just very I just realized that one's a little distorted. Sorry about that image. So very convenient access to anything you need. It's very close to the freeway. Obviously, they're basically 0 lot properties, so very low. You're not going to be dealing with lawn maintenance. And the property tax is super low here as well, 164, or 1634, which is very, very low for the area. Oh no, my little emoji blocked the numbers. These are listed, I believe, at 340, but they're cash flowing extremely well. So this community, a great entry level price point. Maybe it's 350. It's under that, but yeah, you can
349. 349. Okay. Yep.
Sorry about that, guys. It didn't look like that earlier. Must have gotten distorted. So 306, that is a fantastic monthly income. And again, they're 4-bed, 4-bath properties. So really, really great options that you can check out there. And then you have a question, or does someone have a question?
Yeah, a question that came in, I think might just be helpful in general too. Well, on my last work trip, I scoped out the Conroe area and several others, and I noticed that there's a lot of master plan communities. Can you speak to what are some pros and cons to look out for in these communities? So I think maybe like, what is it that we should look for when we're looking at these communities?
That's a really great question. Yeah, Conroe has quite a few. Again, so Highway 242 that intersects with Interstate 45. They've developed, there's those ones I mentioned earlier, all along the way they dot it. Now, again, we have, obviously there's many more industries than hospitals, but the intersection of those two freeways has all of our North Houston hospitals. So there's quite a few, we have a huge children's hospital here, which is the #2 children's hospital in the country. And we have one, it's in the Woodlands. And we have many of the satellite campuses for the major Houston hospitals like St. Luke's, Methodist, things like that, Memorial Hermann, they're all up there. So many of the tenants that choose to live or homeowners along Highway 242 work in medical. So this next community I'm going to talk to you about, actually, ironically, is also in Conroe. It's called Granger Pines. I like this property, or this community rather, because it's you can get to Highway 45 within about 10 minutes from this community, but the price points are sometimes half of what you would pay in some of the other like prominent master plan communities like Evergreen or Artavia. You have properties that could be over $1 million, and I can show you a property in the 200s in Granger Pines. So I'm a big fan of picking affordable turnkey properties that are near much more expensive properties. So yes, there are a lot of different options. It just depends if you were wanting to go new build or pre-owned, but for new construction, this is a great community. I would recommend it. But all of those communities, there's pros and cons. You can sidebar that viewer and tell them I'm happy to call them to talk about that more as well. So,
okay. Yep.
Granger Pines, again, great option. It's within minutes of those other master plan communities, and there's a variety of builders in there. So this property, I believe this is the most affordable property we're featuring tonight. It's, just over 200,000. Again, new build. You don't see numbers like this. So it's a really fantastic option. And again, if I was in a different calculator view, I could tell you off the top of my head, I believe the property tax in this neighborhood is 2.8. So maybe it's 2.7. So it's a little lower than you would see on a lot of the other new build communities. So it's definitely one that is a great option. And there's a variety of builders in here as well. So there's more cost-effective options than others, but Granger Pines is a fantastic community for those of you interested in in the area. Yeah, very, very cost effective. Okay, we're chugging along, guys. You're doing great. So Spring, this is where I live. I am actually working from home as they do this because they were doing an event in my building tonight and I didn't want it to be loud. So Spring is, you know, a lot of different communities, very established, and we have a big, big footprint, but we also have easy access to Houston. I can get to the city in 30 minutes if I take the toll road. So a lot of Spring routes to Conroe ISD, which is very, you know, the coveted public school system. There's people that move in from out of state all the time for our public schools. So anything you need is here, except not Costco, that's in Conroe. But other than that, anything you need is here. So I would say for, you know, when we were talking about popular neighborhoods, for pre-owned, Spring is the most popular. There's one pocket that I found that we have a lot of investors have selected. It's a great option. And we have a cute little Old Town area you can visit too. So this is the community I was talking about that's most popular with investors. Oh my goodness, sorry guys, this time is getting away from us tonight. So Forest Village, this is very low property tax, very low property tax. We manage a whole portfolio of properties in here. This is pretty close to the Woodlands, but with a very much more affordable price point. So it's just a very popular community with investors. So this is an excellent option. It's a newer home. It was built in 2020, so 4 years old. A lot of the transferable warranties on that still. Beautiful home, and the numbers look really great on it too. So for pre-owned, that's a fantastic option. Breckenridge Forest is another that is popular with our investors. This is a D.R. Horton community, so all new builds in there, and you can get price points under 300,000. And they do lease very well. That's people that want to have proximity to Houston. So some really excellent options within that neighborhood. This property, we have a couple investors that have the same exact floor plan and they've leased very nicely. The community has some nice amenities and it's a little closer to true Houston. So for people who want access that way as well, and also pretty close to the Hardy Toll Road as well. So. Sorry, I'm trying to move it along so I don't keep you here too long, guys. Okay, the Woodlands. This is kind of our star child of the night. It's ranked the #1 city in America to buy a house, to raise a family, and to live. These are our little brag points or niche.com. These numbers move up and down between 1 and 2 every year, but it consistently wins year over year. So we've got 9 different villages, 150 parks, 220 miles of trails, it's just a very, very, very cute place. We have an awesome concert venue. They bring big acts through. Post Malone was here a couple weeks, so you know they bring big people through every year. It's fun. You can walk here from our office, so really enjoyable place. So as far as people looking to invest in the Woodlands, Ritz-Carlton residences. These are luxury penthouses that are being developed. They are projected revenue of $333 million. I mean, literally. Most of these have been sold, or many of them have been sold, and they just broke ground in October. So, you know, the reason I put this in here is this is the first building of its kind in all of Texas, and you can tell the amounts of money that's coming to the Woodlands. There already is money here, but it's going to continue to appreciate property values. So this is our office on the waterway, right down the street from that last slide where I showed you. We're in right next door to my favorite coffee shop, Blue Door. That's our CEO, Ross Nelson. He came to visit our team a couple months ago, and it's just the waterway is just a really beautiful place. That's where our office is, and very close to lots of our properties here in the Woodlands. So as far as Woodlands property picks, I have a couple for you. This is like a great option. Things that people love about the Woodlands proper: low property tax, no HOA. So win-win. It's just finding properties that have, you know, the big ticket items that are at least newer, like this property is one of them that does. And another one as well in the Woodlands. So real quick, I always like to show my investors, you know, the practice what you preach slide. These are my properties that we own in this market. The one that I'm talking to you from tonight is my primary residence on the right-hand side, and then our investment property in Panther Creek, which is I put on the map where both of those are, but definitely considered, like, the investment property would be considered like a luxury neighborhood for the area. And you can get, I have a lot of clients that are shopping in that price point as well, but both are great. You know, Marshall Reddick manage a lot of properties in both of these neighborhoods as well. So you can have fantastic rentals in any price point, kind of depending on what you're looking for. We can custom tailor that to your search. And yeah, I know in the interest of time, Cameron, what do you think? Maybe we should keep this short and sweet, but
Go for it. That's good.
Are you sure? I'll try to be fast.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, well, just some quick relocation stories. We've helped, Wood Forest, I've helped a few families relocate at this point there, from all from out of state though, ironically. Actually, my first client with Cameron ever was brothers from Southern California that were sick of the hustle and they wanted just a quieter lifestyle, and they bought in the Woodlands Hills, that first community we were talking about. So that was it was probably like 2.5 years ago at this point, maybe even 3. So it was quite a while. We've helped, a lot of families that have relocated because they can work remotely and they want to come get a house for what they think is a steal of a deal by, moving to the area and just seeing all the area has to offer and how beautiful it is. We had a client that got transferred out here with a government job, moved to Magnolia. That's one of the other clients that have moved primary wise. But yeah, we have a lot of investors that have chosen Lexington Heights. Cameron has sold 3 of those really recently, lots in Forest Village, lots in Maple Heights, and all these different communities we've looked at. So lots of good options across the board for all of those. Basically, any phase of life you're in or any investment avenue you want to take, there's a spot for all of those. So, all right, and with that, thank you guys so much for your time tonight. I know I talked a lot, and I would be happy to sidebar and deeper dive if you know any favorites that we covered tonight, or some top options. We can definitely do a lot, pull up the MLS and go through listings real time. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Cameron.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. That was a phenomenal presentation. I know a good amount about the Woodlands, but every time I see you present, it feels like I just know more and more. And for you guys, if you're kind of wondering, well, where can we see all this information compiled? We actually have a data packet. We create one every single year on our website, and we just run a lot of different numbers, data. When we were talking about why we choose markets, all of that here is in our data packet. So you just go to marshreddick.com/market data, and then you can see our different data packets. This one here is for the Houston Metro, which you'll be able to see a lot of the Woodlands kind of data and information we talked about here. What can you expect next, right? Where do we begin? Well, that's kind of where we would have a consultation call, and we can kind of talk through what are your goals, why invest in real estate? You can invest in stocks, bonds, really anything. I know maybe an answer might be, I like having like a tangible asset, but that's kind of where we'll take you through some questions and figure out where we can go next. That's kind of the next step for a consultation. Rachel and I would love to dive deeper into your personal goals. And then you might have seen property classes or wondered, how do we, get the ratings for our properties? Well, Marshall Reddick, I like to call this, has a Bible, a real estate Bible, or the Marshall Reddick rating ebook. You can find this ebook on our website, marshreddick.com/ebook. I highly encourage anyone who owns or wants to own an investment property to read through this. It's extremely important. I've read through it maybe 20 times. This is extremely important to go through, but it kind of talks through what you can expect with different property classes. How do we classify a property, and then what tenants go with it, maintenance, things like that. So it's a cool resource we have. And then last but not least, here's our information. We're going to send you guys a recording of this presentation as well as the slide deck. So if you missed anything, you want to go back through it, you want to share this with someone else, we will make sure to send that to each and every one of you. And thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful rest of your night. And if we don't hear from you, happy Thanksgiving coming up.
Cam, thanks everybody. Have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you soon.